All right.
It's
How
really boring.
could Doflamingo have learned of the existence of Eames? That's not confirmed yet, but I
Ooh.
think he does. And it's possible that Doflamingo
Mm,
met Eam in person. So this comes about from when he's in Impel Down. He's in level 6, and he's like,
yeah.
"Oh, I know some dirty
Yeah,
secrets
yeah.
about the government. They don't want me to spill, so they're probably going to try to assassinate me." And now that we know Eam exists, it's like that can be really the only secret they would really care about, like on that
Yeah,
level, right?
so
Yeah.
this is actually canonically confirmed, technically, or
Perfect.
at least I feel like very bordering on
I feel
canonically
like it's
confirmed
yeah, it's
because
so
this
true
is
that it
a
has to be. Yeah.
this is a very common mistranslation, and like it's one of the I would even call it one of the biggest like translation confusions in the community. That during Dressrosa, Doflamingo speaks of the national treasure of Marija. But when he talks about it in Japanese, he kind of refers to it as a living
As a
creature because
person.
he
Okay.
specifically mentioned that his plan was to use the Ope Ope no Mi, particularly the personality switching operation he recalls, and use it on the national treasure of Marijoa to become the national treasure himself and thus become the one that rules the world, in his words.
Okay.
So he really wanted to use the personalized switching operation to just switch, like the thing we saw in Panghazar,
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
with the
yeah.
hearts
With
and
with the straw hats and everything and like stuff.
exactly.
Just switch
Use
Doflamingo
that
and
on
Eam to
Emo,
yeah.
and then boom, yeah, I'm king of the world and stuff like that because he knew. And here's the thing: it's something that you go back to Marineford, and the Flamingo says he was given orders to assassinate Moria, and Moria says from who? Sengoku, and the Flamingo says no, someone way, way higher above. And obviously, if that was the Gorosei, like, I mean, he wouldn't have said it so menacingly. I don't think that I would have set that up with the Flamingo later. And here's the thing: it's like when the Flamingo in chapter 906 mentions the national treasure of Marijo again, a lot of people assumed that it was the hat because they kind of like were confused and thought it was like an object.
Oh
But
yeah, yeah.
obviously, he's referring about Emu because Emu is introduced in that chapter right after that panel
Yeah, it's that
because
lines
he
up
goes up to the
so
hat.
well. There's no way that can't be Emu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that like Emu is the living national treasure of Marijoa because a national treasure can be a person,
Yeah. Yeah.
even in Japanese as well specifically, and that specifically he is the biggest secret. And that's the thing. And like Doflamingo said, if the secret that this national treasure exists got out in the world, it would be utter chaos. And the world government tried to assassinate me and stop me because they did not want this secret to leak. But when I threatened to them that I would leak it, if they did not listen to my demands, suddenly they became a lot more cooperative.
Yeah,
That's specifically what he
yeah,
says.
it's a moment of just like, hey, I'm the one guy that like knows about this that is going to like I
Yeah.
can leak this to the world. I have the ability to do that. The
Yeah.
only other people that know
Exactly. And like
are the
he probably
Gorosei
said
and Eames like servants that hang out, and that's kind of it, right? Yeah.
he probably said like a stalemate that is like if you ever kill me, I've got like a guy that's just gonna leak
Oh,
it
a
to
dead
the
switch, like a
newspaper.
kill
Yeah,
switch, like
exactly.
Vegapunk had,
Yeah.
basically.
Like
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
something like
And
that.
you
So
could say
that's so
Doflamingo
the
would do that.
government
Yeah.
yeah, so the government's like, okay, you can have this country, you can have the warlord position, like you can like use CP0 to manipulate the news and everything because they just don't want that to kind of leak.
That
And
makes way more sense given the context of Dressrosa and how much the government let
yeah,
Doflamingo get away with this. He's an
and
exiled celestial dragon, but he still has all this influence and summons Cypherpole Zero. Like, what's going on here? Yeah.
and narratively, I think it's like I kind of start to realize that Doflamingo was basically a mini emu in
Yeah, kinda.
Dressrosa, and
Yeah.
he treated Dressrosa because kind of like it's like, hey, the people that I don't like, they get erased from history. It's
Mm-hmm.
like. And everything he kind of like he controls and manipulates things kind of like emu because he wanted to become emu. The real question here: how did he find out? Do all the celestial dragons know that someone like emu exists,
I
even if they
doubt
don't know
that.
the details?
I supremely doubt
Yeah,
that. Yeah. I don't think Charlos knows. They would not trust Charlos with
yeah.
this information.
Yeah, I wonder. I think like maybe it could be possible that they just know some entity like that exists, and they know that they can't tattle in
It's
any
a
way, or they would be
rumor.
killed,
Yeah,
and no one
yeah.
would. Yeah, exactly. But it could also be possible that Doflamingo just found out in some other way. But the problem is, it's like Doflamingo was a kid, right, when he left Marijoa. How did he find out afterwards? I feel it has to be because of his celestial dragon connection. So
Yeah,
it makes more sense to
there's
me
a
that
chunk of Doflamingo's history we're missing here when he like because it was mentioned kind
yeah,
of offhandedly. Oh yeah, I went back to Marijois as a kid with my dad's
yeah,
head and they kicked me out. Like, how did you even get
yeah,
back up there? It's like, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I do kind of wonder if it is something that he did find out, or it is something the celestial dragons know, but it's not very well known, and they know they can't speak about it and stuff. To be fair, I feel like the celestial dragons are such selfish breaks that they kind of like Well, why should I risk telling like anybody about this?
Yeah,
But
because they
who
always
knows?
think they already think of themselves as literal gods that are better than every other, human on
Yeah,
the planet. So like, why would they, volunteer that
yeah.
information?
If Charles just went and told you like, hey, there's like a dude in Marija, I was like, would you even believe him?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like he's an idiot, right? But I mean,
Yeah.
like
So
we
you were
also
saying?
found out in Vegapunk's message that
Mm.
Charlos's sister, whose name I always forget,
Oh yeah,
Sharia,
Sharia.
Sharia, yeah,
Yeah.
she didn't know about the Void Century. She was like, Void
Yeah.
Century, what's that now? Now they don't really
I
probably
love that.
they have an education because it's like the best tutors in the world were probably educating them and
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah,
that. But
yeah,
they
yeah.
might not care. They're celestial dragons. They
Yeah.
don't need to know about history or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, they were probably like, I don't want to go to class. Bring me food. I want lobster.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't want to learn. Like their parents might like Roswald might make Charlos like you need to learn this, and he's going to
Yeah.
complain every step of the way, but he's not going to carry that stuff with him
I do
afterwards.
find it interesting that there are people like Garling who obviously are at least like wise and
Oh,
cultured
they're
to an extent,
competent. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then there's just like the rest of dumbasses.
Yeah, I feel like it's a situation where they like gather the best of the best. Like, okay, you're gonna be trained to be the God's Knights, or you're gonna be the
Yeah.
actual like competent. You're gonna be raised to maybe be the next stock of Gorosei if you need to be
I do
selected.
kind of wonder
Yeah.
if like they're all kind of like if like the God Knights or like those like that are celestial dragons that are like, you know what, I'm not gonna be lazy, I'm gonna study the sword and like be
Yeah.
cool and strong, or if they are like specifically celestial dragons that were like groomed from childhood to just gonna be like, okay, you're gonna be the elite of the elite.
I've always compared it to like in Full Metal Alchemist, where like Bradley was taken
Mm.
as like a child. I don't know if you've ever seen Full
I
Metal
will watch
Alchemist.
it.
Okay,
Ah,
yeah,
sorry.
sorry, but it's kind of a similar thing where it's like we're gonna take these children in this group of
Right, yeah,
celestial
yeah.
dragons, take them away,
Honestly.
train them in a facility specifically to be
Like
God's Knights.
Cypherpole.
Yeah, yeah, like Cypherpole kind of, except with a higher level. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, that's that. Dofi
Well,
is going to be in the story again. I can't wait for that. There has to be another Impel Down breakout because we got to see also Bon Clay
yeah.
again. And this it works
Bonson.
way too well for this. Yeah.
Yeah. The moment Bonchan returns is gonna break the community.
It's gonna break everybody apart. You know what? And I want to throw Magellan in there too. Let's get Magellan to be like, all right, I'll
Yeah.
help you guys out. I guess the world government control whatever. Let's go. I love Magellan. Yeah. All right, what do you got?
Well, I mean, this was like part of the previous
Oh yeah,
question,
yeah.
but I thought like I might as well about it now. How do this? I feel like this is gonna be a very boring answer, but is how does the world government deal with two member countries at war?
Mm. So I would imagine from what we saw at the Reverie, there was that little interpretation that like the stronger countries are going to kind of like, they use like a proxy kind of
Mm.
puppet war kind of situation like against the other countries there. And that was kind of
Oh,
shown
really?
as like the visual with like the two countries hitting each other with like a
Yeah.
club. Yeah. So I don't think, I mean, obviously, if you run a world government, you're going to be like, yeah, these countries aren't always going to get along. There's going to be, competition between them. The world government might, like, honestly, might encourage that at certain points. It'd just be like the strongest survive and you get to stay as part of the world government and the weaker ones fall off by the wayside. It might be something as cruel as that. But yeah, there's a lot more political intrigue with the Reverie, and I don't think Oda. I think he just wants to keep it to the point where it's like, all right, we're not going to go too into politics with this, so we're going to rein this in a little bit. But yeah, what do you think?
I mean, my answer is like, does the world government do anything about it? And my answer is like, I don't think they give a shit.
No, I don't think they give a
honestly.
shit. No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the problem. Is like only if it becomes like a serious like military like risk. But the thing about like the fascinating thing about the One Piece world is that, unlike like our world or like a lot of fantasy worlds, there isn't like different superpowers. It's like it's one absolute complete domination superpower. And aside from like the Yonko, pretty much, there aren't really, or like the revolutionaries and stuff like that, there really aren't any countries that like pose a threat on a global scale. Like even big countries like Alabasta, yeah, they have like an army of like a million or whatever, but it's like they can't like
Hey
do
man,
anything
they
on a
got
big
that
scale. So
they
like,
got that magic, that fatal fuel, that hero's water stuff. They could make themselves
true,
like
true.
roid it out. They got to watch out for that army.
The fourth ancient weapon.
Yeah, the fourth ancient weapon, the hero's water.
Right, but like you mentioned, like like in chapter 956, we see the Kano country fighting against the Longboot Kingdom, the Nagagutsu Kingdom, and it's like who cares about either of those countries? They don't have the power. It's not the world government. So like the Gorosei like only care to get involved. They generally the Marines we see they're more involved with like pirates or
Yes.
like outside of the world government factions. Prince of World Government is like, guys, you solve it. If it becomes an issue, then we just go and genocide everyone.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of the ultimate, like, just the reset button they can press. But also, like, the only time they would get really involved is, let's say there was a kingdom that has a strong military that was then, like, withholding heavenly tribute, kidnapping a celestial dragon and holding them for ransom. Even if they kidnapped, like, a high-ranking Marine, I feel like they wouldn't care. I feel like the world government would be more of, like, that's an internal Marine operation. You guys need to get your shit together. We're only going to step in if celestial dragons are being, like, held at ransom. That's when we just obliterate everything. Yeah. Like, it's Cypherpunk.
Circle, click, click.
Yep. By the way, as a side note to that question, do you think the God's Knights, aside from, like, when they had the battle, like, the competition at God Valley, do the God's Knights ever leave Marija to get involved with any affairs down below?
I do kind of wonder, because I feel like they have to train up or something, right? Like, how does Figurland Garling get that strong if he's just, like, boxing in Marija?
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of wonder if they just, like, get involved in wars just for fun.
Yeah, maybe that is how it goes. Like, hey, that war over there has been going on with that country for too long in the West Blue. Garling, just go fix that really quick.
Garling just drops at, like, broccoli, kills 500 people, and then leaves without resolving the war.
Yeah, exactly. That's how he does things. Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm gonna leave.
All right. Back to mine. Let's see what we got here. What do we got? Moldy tissue. Does Wapple's Bakugou no Mi allow him to utilize everything he's ever eaten in his transformations, or it's only the things he's eaten that day? This is more of just like a lighthearted question I picked. I'm pretty sure it's just what he's eaten and hasn't processed yet is he can control and manipulate that way. Yeah.
Okay, so this is one, like, I'm trying to remember if there was, like, a point in the story.
Because Chess goes through, like, hey, Chess, what did I eat today? And he's like, okay, well, you have this and this and this. And, like, yeah.
Because generally what we usually see him eating something and becoming that something. But I sort of got there's, like, a point where maybe he just pulls a cannon out of his arm without, like, eating it beforehand. So I do think there is, like, some storage at least.
Yeah.
But I wonder if maybe it's, like, until it's fully digested or something. That'd be, like, a funny old answer.
Maybe he's constipated a little bit and he just gets to use his powers that way, which is disgusting, but that's kind of Wapple. So
I do kind of wonder if his fruit, like, he just this is a very SBS question, but does he, like, poop like a normal person?
Exactly.
With, like, iron and stuff.
Yeah. Oh God. Oh, that's awful. Like.
Yeah. I hope. Look, I'm not gonna. I don't think I would. I didn't imagine I would say this, but I hope for Wapple's sake that he just, like, it just becomes all, like, normal food.
Yeah. He literally ate a house. Can you imagine trying to poop out a house? Like, oh God.
Oh, here comes the fridge.
Oh, here comes the chimney and the bricks.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, Okay, that was a very.
Adds a whole new meaning to shitting bricks. This one's, like, a very fascinating one I wanted to think about, and it's, does a movie industry exist in One Piece? I mean, if Uta can livestream her performances, surely someone thought of making a movie with the Denden Mushi, right? And if so, who do you think would be the Tom Cruise of the industry? Is that, like, a very old, like, SPS question? Or it would be like, there's, like, a guy called Woofs.
I feel like if there was a movie industry, Cavendish would want to be part of that at some point, and he's never mentioned it. Uta is canon. The whole live streaming thing, that was non-canon. But they do have the distribution snails, but that might have just been the prototype that existed on Egghead. That seems to be the case. They're not all over the world or anything like that.
That thing, if I can mention, it's like, it was confirmed in Film Red that Uta basically got, rather in notice notes in the volume, that Uta got those transmission Denden Mushi from a ship that was heading to Egghead and shipwrecked on Elysia. And so she basically got these from, like, Vegapunk, but they shipwrecked on Elysia, and she learned how to use them herself, and then we saw those later, obviously, when Vegapunk did his own transmission, and those basically, like, send a signal to just all Denden Mushi and just kind of allowed to live stream, and then, like, slowly picked up. So it is not a technology that is widespread.
No, it's a brand new thing.
It was just
that
a
Vegapunk
prototype.
Just developed. Yeah. But yeah, movie industry. I'm thinking of Mirrorball Island and, like, Django's little Dance Dance cover story, because there was, like, a bunch. I don't think there were screens on the island, but no, I think there was. I think there was, like, a big projection of, like, everything happening at once in one of the maybe not in the manga, but in, like, one of the movie promos. I think
the special, right?
Yeah, the special Django's Dance Dance Paradise. Yeah, I think there might have been something like that. But yeah,
that special is
I
fantastic.
love it. It's so much fun. That old man that's just like getting up out of
Yeah,
bed.
just cranked into they just cranked into Eurobeats.
It's so much fun, and it's the song is from the artists that do the second One Piece opening.
Yeah,
Believe it's the same. Yeah,
yeah,
it's the same band. So that
the
was really
amazing
cool.
Eurobeats.
Yeah, it's such a good song. Um, but yeah, I feel like the my favorite. I mean, this isn't a movie reference, but I love the fact that there is a canonical boxing league in One Piece.
Yeah,
Yeah, IDEO was part of it, and Foxy
yeah.
was kicked out of it, which I
Got
find
banned.
very
Yeah,
funny. So there are normal like we don't know much about civilian life in the One Piece world, and every time we learn about it, it's always fascinating. Like, oh, that maybe there is like a Den Mushi radio drama industry, maybe. Like, who knows? Like, right? Yeah.
sorry, can you give me just a second?
Sure, sure.
Because I had an eureka moment.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, but yeah, I'll just fill time. So yeah, Den Mushi like radio dramas. You know, you could just do stories about like Sora, the Knight of the Sea or whatever, and like, hello there, children. I am Sora, Knight of the Sea. Remember to drink your Ovaltine and sign up for the newsletter to get a brand new little action figure. Mail away an Albatross Express. You know, that could definitely exist in the One Piece world. There's no reason why it can't.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, what I wanted to mention before that was that we do know that there exists a theater industry in the One Piece world. We had, for example, Victoria Sindri
Yes. She was
who
like a
performed.
dancer, but like also in
Yeah,
plays and musicals and
a
stuff, I would assume.
performer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. There is, I do remember from the Straw Hat novel again, in the sub story, there is a guy who's basically the main character of the story, who previously was a performer for like kind of like acting and musicals in the main city of the Gecko Archipelago, which
Mm,
is interesting because that's one we barely see in the manga.
yeah.
That like only appears in like one cover with like Kaya and stuff. But there is kind of like a bit of like like a whole like theater industry and stuff. But kind of what I was recalling, and I literally just got up to kind of get my volume of the
I
Straw
was,
Hat
I was gonna
novel.
say you were grabbing something. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I swear to God, like maybe I'm misremembering, but I swear they mentioned like Denden Mushi movies or something in this. It's like I can't remember the specific line, so that's kind of why it's driving me a little bit
There's
crazy.
there's visual. It would probably be something similar to like 8 millimeter, where like you could like because there's visual Den Mushis that can record. How long could they
Yeah,
record? What's the memory capacity? What do they
yeah.
record on? Like discs or tape or wire? Like how does it work? Yeah, this is fascinating. I love these
Hmm.
kind of questions about Oda's world. I genuinely
Yeah,
do.
but like
Yeah.
I have to find a specific line because it's like I feel like I
Gotcha.
remember it, but I don't remember like firmly enough. But
Okay, well,
yeah,
you look that up. In regard with that, I will then bring up the
yeah,
image of like there's a child opening up his first Den Mushi for Christmas, and he uses that as a
yeah,
camera to go around and record his friends getting into like a bunch of like home movies, and that's
yeah,
how home movies exist in the One Piece
yeah.
world. Yeah. It was mentioned though that the visual version of Den Mushi are very big, and so they're more
True,
expensive, and also you have to take care of them. They're like
true.
horses; you got to take care of them.
Yeah.
So even like
Number than Mushi are like small, but
yeah,
like
yeah. Because the ones that
the
impel down,
transmission ones are
there
big.
was like a main snail that was like handling all
Yeah,
the processing, but like the surveillance
yeah.
cameras were like regular sized.
What I'm
Yeah.
thinking, for example, in Dressrosa, we see like Koala going through like the stuff in the underworld, and then she just pops like a really small Denden Mushi and
Yeah,
just
yeah.
goes
Like
click and
click,
takes a
click, click.
photo.
Yeah.
So
How'd
yeah,
you think of the Bluetooth Den Mushi in the live action? I think that's a really clever way to get
yeah,
around it, so they don't have to constantly hold a little snail. They can just put it in their ear,
yeah.
which is gooey, but
And
it's like,
then,
yeah.
yeah, and then Oda integrated that in Egghead
Yes, he did. He
because
did.
they
Yes.
have it in the in like yeah, in the basically
So
like the
I
antennas
think
and
it
stuff.
fits for that world. It's not like
Yeah,
everything that happened in the live action that wasn't in the manga. I could see that happening in the One Piece world. Yeah.
yeah, because of how Oda was involved and stuff.
Hmm.
I can't find it right
That's
now.
fine. Yeah.
I'll maybe tweet about it, whatever, if I can find it someday. But
We will definitely do
yeah,
another Q&A kind of thing again. Like
yeah.
absolutely. This is a lot of fun.
It is something that's just like I have it on the tip of my tongue, but I could also just have like
Yeah.
dreamed it up.
It's just one of
It's
it's just one of
possible.
those things like ten movies, do they exist? You know, you dive
Yeah,
into your papers and like, like
it would probably be
tweet
like
about it
very
later. Like they
limited.
do
Yeah,
exist. Here it
yeah.
is. I'm like, okay. All right.
I do remember like in for example, they had like a movie industry and stuff that they like did through like mangamas and stuff, and it's kind of like interesting to kind of just think about that stuff. But I feel like in One Piece, it's just the whole world is just too disconnected to
Yeah.
there be like a movie industry.
It would be like so when I was saying like radio dramas, they obviously wouldn't be able to do that on a world scale just because that's what like
Right.
a distribution Denjin would do. But on
Yeah,
each
'cause just
individual island, you could have like a radio
true, true.
industry for that island with a big Denmushi that broadcasts. That is possible. Yeah.
And to be fair, if there was a movie industry, it would be 100% propaganda.
Oh, absolutely. It would be kind of like constantly like the world government loves you. The world government trusts you. Do you trust the world government? Yes. Like, yeah.
Okay, just to finish the question,
Go ahead.
who do you think would beat the Tom Cruise of this industry?
I would think Cavendish would have like he
Oh,
would,
right, you did.
yeah,
Sorry,
he would
my
try to
bad.
be in that industry
Right.
110%. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I feel like this is the thing you could ask Oda in the SBS, and we'd come up with like a stupid character like Nyorno Nyarmani.
Yeah, Yorno Yarmani. I still need to do a
Yorno
video
Nyarmani.
on. I need to do a video on that guy, and I need to do a video on the Yon
Yeah.
cooks. I've yet to do one about them. Yeah.
Well, of course you would be able to do like a whole video on just Nyorno Nyarmani.
Yeah, I think that dude is, by the way, like, because the story behind him was
I
like
love it.
he made all these clothing, but then the government was like, you can only make clothing for the Goro. Say that dude was kidnapped and is forced to make clothing for them, like 100%.
That
Yeah.
I believe that is a mistranslation.
Oh,
Actually, if I
okay.
can see it.
So this is
I believe
important
the
if
original.
I make the Giorno Armani video.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I believe the original text says more that the Gorsei only use clothes on this famous brand,
All right.
rather than
Okay.
the brand can only make clothing for
Okay.
the
Like, not
Gorsei.
they literally went into his shop, kidnapped him, threw him in a bag,
Yeah.
and then brought him to Marija. Like, you make clothes here now. Yeah, that's fair
Yeah.
though. That makes.
I
way
like the
more
idea. I
sense.
like the idea that Fearland probably like ordered like a suit from Armani before
Yeah.
entering, showing up on the Gorsei and stuff.
It sucks, Saturn exploded and he melted, and
Yeah.
the suit. I mean, did the suit? I think the
Yeah,
suit
that was
also went
yeah.
with it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sucks.
The Gorsei after like the world is sunk is like, well, who's gonna make our suits?
Who's gonna make our suits? Does he also make Ethan's kimono? Not kimono, but
Oh, I
his like
wonder.
his gi kind of thing that he wears. Yeah.
Well, Oda did say the Gorsei, so that probably
Yeah, probably
includes
them
like
too. Yeah, special orders that. The rest
yeah.
just like suits.
They're all custom made, so.
Yeah. All right, what do we got next? Okay. Tony D. Usopp asks, I have always been fascinated about. Oh, this is the question I really wanted you to answer.
Oh, yeah.
About slang and dialects in One Piece. Each island speaks a language a bit differently, and even the people from each place talk differently. Tama adds, Diansu, Boa asks, Jinbei Ja. With the Straw Hats, you have noticed Nami always speaks the most polite, although she doesn't use honorifics except for Sanji. So before you answer this, I just wanted to like bring up a few things. Number one, I messaged you that one time about the whole Hibari, Sakazuki, Hiroshima dialect situation. Which, by the way, from the new information we got with the blood types, Hibari is 100% Sakazuki's daughter.
Yeah.
But then also I wanted to bring up the Tasso thing that Rhodes says to like the Straw Hats, and I never really. The way I had that explained to me was that is an old otaku way of referring to like figurines and stuff, but I didn't know.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Do you know the honorific pan?
No, I know pan means bread.
T-A-N.
Oh, tan. No, a tan. No,
Yeah.
I don't know that. Sorry.
It's kind of like Chan, but kind of a bit deformed.
Never heard of it. Yeah.
Right, it's just kind of like, like, I don't know, like, it would be like, oh, Mikutan, or something like that. It's like a very, like, sort of, like, weebish term.
Okay.
If anyone has watched ReZero, you probably know of Emilia Tan.
I never got into ReZero. I watched like 2 episodes of it. Never got into it. Yeah.
But maybe the others kind of, like, pick on that. But it's like, so Tasu is just, like, a male version of that. But
Okay.
it can be, like, gender neutral, so
I
he
gotcha.
does also use, like... So that's kind of more specific to that. But, and he does kind of like, I like the idea that he speaks like in Wano dialect. And that's basically their way of saying like, yeah, he's a weeb.
Because he says like, why is this guy talking like a samurai right now? And in the English translation,
Japanese to try hard.
Yeah, the English doesn't translate because the best way to do it in English is like, verily, how thou art escaping, and it's not the same. Yeah.
That's rough, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like difficult to translate. I think the important thing for this question, we need to differentiate between two things. On one hand, there is dialects. And like I said, there are dialects in the One Piece world. There's the Hiroshima Ben, the Hiroshima dialect we see in Sakazuki and Hibari.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a dialect, of course. We see, of course, also the the dialect of the Tontata, the dialect of the Mings, the dialect of the Samurai of Wano, etc., and so on. Even the people of the sky have like some unique words like Heso, stuff like that, all those things. But that's one thing, and I think we've established that's like a canonical thing. On the other hand, there is like, as they put example here, things like Bo and Jinbei adding ja, and that's just to put it simply, it's just like Japanese grammar.
Okay.
That's like standard Japanese, right? Like using ja is more unusual, but it is generally something that is spoken by like older people. So Jinbei, because he speaks older and more wise, uses ja. Vegapunk also uses ja a lot, for example. Like Lilith, when she first appears, says, "Washi wa Dr. Vegapunk ja." You know, because it's like an older man thing.
Yes.
And I think the reason why Hancock sounds it is just to sound more like old-fashioned, more like her culture is like really old or something like that. And she speaks like someone very important. She also uses like Larawa as like a pronoun, which is like really fancy and like really kind of like archaic sounding and stuff like that. And like for example, like Nami speaking more politely, that's just like Japanese where
Yeah. You have a
you have
polite
informal
way,
Japanese,
informal,
and
and
then
then like a very
yeah,
casual way of like, yeah.
yeah. You've got like informal, and you got Keigo, which is like the polite one. Which like that, and it is kind of interesting. Like one of the cool things about reading One Piece in Japanese is kind of like seeing all the characteristics. Is like, well, what pronouns does each character use? You know, like Nami prefers to use atashi, for example, but she does also speak in more something a bit similar to Keigo, but she does also speak like very like polite, but she does also speak informally and stuff like that. But it's more like just technicalities. They're just part of the main
Let
language.
me test the limited amount of Japanese I know. So if I was going to introduce myself in Japanese, this is the way I would always do
Yeah,
it, and you tell me if this is like whatever. Watashi wa
yeah,
mato desu.
yeah.
Okay.
That's
Got
like
close enough.
that's like
Good.
that's the basic textbook stuff.
Yes, that's textbook like, "Hello, I am Matthew." Like, "Nice to meet you."
Yeah.
Yeah. Yoroshiku.
There is like a very interesting thing, for example, with the Vegapunks, where like each of them uses a different first person pronoun
Yes,
to
I've
kind of
seen
like
that. That's on
set
the
them
wiki.
apart.
That's like
Yeah,
a lot of this stuff
yeah,
completely lost on me in an English speaking audience unless you can
yeah,
actually read the raws in Japanese. Like
yeah,
gone. Yeah.
yeah. And like the interesting detail is that they all use like, for example, male pronouns because
Mhm.
obviously it's like still the brain of Stella in the end. But York is the only one that actually uses female pronouns, and I like to think the reason for that is because she wants to like set herself apart more
Yeah.
from Stella and kind of be her own entity. And there's just like something that's just like it just gets lost in
So
translation.
and
Like
we
that's
would
why I
have
have to do all those.
we
That's why I have to do all those videos saying lost in translation because that's
yes,
just kind of what
that
happens.
is what it is. That's the name of the series you
Yeah.
do, and thank you for doing it.
Yeah.
Also, that we would have known
Mm.
about the way that she talks before the traitor thing was revealed. So maybe that was
It was
Oda's
literally
way.
no, no, no. It was revealed literally on the panel where she becomes a traitor, and that's
Oh,
kind of like the
okay.
point you're like,
All right,
oh,
now I
that's
get it.
why, right?
Okay, see that
Yeah,
one over my head. Completely didn't even know.
yeah.
Yeah. Ah, dude.
Reading One Piece in Japanese is like such a different
I
experience,
can
man. It's
imagine
like,
it is. Yeah.
yeah, it's taken me like so much effort, but it's like I like it's paid off for me. I feel.
I tried to learn Japanese like it was like 2019. I think I started to buckle down and learn it, and I was kind of like at a point where I reached a wall where it was like, okay, unless I have an actual tutor helping me with
Yeah,
this, I'm not gonna be able to just teach myself out of a book. Like I know the hiragana, the katakana, like the alphabets and stuff, but other than that, and like basic ways to like introduce myself and ask where like the bathroom is, but like that's all it is. I need an actual tutor. Yeah.
I'm at a point now where like even with my knowledge of Japanese, I feel like to really continue deepening, I have to like live in Japan, which is like what I'm trying to do
Yeah,
because
that's
it's like otherwise,
ultimately you have to learn the country. I mean, like live in
yeah,
the country to know the language. Yeah, for an
yeah.
extended period. Yeah. All right. Well, that was a good one. All right. What do you got next up?
Why are some Marines listed as being part of Marine headquarters, even when some of them don't operate out of New Marineford? For example, Vice Admiral Dahl commands the G-14 base, but she's also listed as part of Marine headquarters in her introduction card.
So this reminds me of a question. I
Yeah,
remember having a conversation with a fan about this a while back because we were talking about Captain Morgan. And it's like, oh yeah, Captain Morgan is like the
Yeah.
same rank that Smoker was at the beginning of the story. They're both captains. And somebody brought up an interesting thing. Like, well, Smoker is mentioned to be a captain of Marine headquarters. So
Yeah.
maybe the rank is different in that it has more significance. And also Smoker also blows me away that he's the only like Marine under the rank of Admiral that has a Logia. So it's like, what's the story there? Like, did he have it before he became a Marine, or did the Marines like, you have promise, here you go? It's like crazy. So I'm thinking like Marine headquarters captain, you have that like, or not even captain, but you have that title in your rank. It means like you have a higher status. Like, I'm sure Smoker, if he ever went to Shellstown, would be able to order around Morgan. I don't know if Morgan would listen, but he would have higher rank kind of on him at that point. That's the way I interpreted that.
So Oda does actually answer this in an SBS specifically,
He does or he
where
doesn't?
he does.
He does. Okay.
Where he explains that those who are Marine headquarters are of a higher rank than those who are just a normal standard rank in other bases, because I believe he puts in an example, if I'm not wrong, that like a Marine headquarters rank is almost like 3 ranks above, or like 2
Ooh.
ranks above. So like for example, Smoker being a Marine captain, or like now Kobe being a Marine headquarters captain, like a Marine headquarters captain, is way higher than what Morgan is. In fact, like Helmeppa has already surpassed Morgan.
Which is interesting,
that
yeah, because if you
technicality.
look at it, he's a lieutenant commander. I'm like, oh, he's not at
Right.
the same rank as his dad was yet. Maybe that'll be the cap off for his character. But in rank, he is. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think this question specifically was like, why is it like a Marine headquarters thing, even though you have people who are operating outside of Marine headquarters? I mean, we have Smoker who is operating in Lockdown, but I really think it's just a label that is just like probably those who can be summoned to Marine headquarters instantly and like all that stuff. Maybe all those from Marineford were specifically people from like Marine HQ and stuff, like who kind of have that title, like the best. I would basically describe the Marine headquarters label as like the elite, the cream of the crop of the Marine.
These are the people we're going to summon. Like, I don't see Captain Nezumi being summoned to Marineford. Like, so it's like, no, your job is your branch 16 out in the sticks. That's your job.
Yeah.
And Smoker, it's like, this guy has promise. He's strong. If we need him, he's here, Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so specifically, it was SBS volume 29, where he says, for example, that a higher captain at a base, so like Morgan, would be like a lower lieutenant at headquarters.
That makes a lot of sense when you also just consider that, like, yeah, Morgan in strength-wise, but also, like, his base was pretty small, and he's way out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, he's literally base number 153.
Yeah,
That's, like,
it's a little bit high. He's the
crap.
same rank as Kobe right now. That doesn't work when you really
Yeah.
think about it. Yeah.
Which does kind of clarify like why Kobe's just a captain, because I've seen people say like, why is he only the same rank as like Morgan or Nezumi? But it's like, it's not the same thing.
Remember that one well, it was a mistranslation. I think Oda just messed it up where he listed Kobe as a rear admiral in that one panel.
Yeah, oh my god.
I was so excited for him when he got that. I was like, yeah.
And then the moment comes out, he's like, god damn it.
Yeah, well, that's how it goes.
So I guess in a sense, like, yeah, it's like, I mean, yeah, like I said, it's like Oda here compares like a captain would be a Marine headquarters lieutenant, or a commander would be a junior lieutenant in Marine headquarters.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then once you start getting into Marine headquarters, the ranks are all equal and stuff. So like Dahl and all the vice admirals that were summoned to ACAD were super elite at that point to do that. Yeah. All right. What do we got? We got that's the actual amount since Luffy started his journey. We already answered that one. Okay, this is a bigger one. This has 2 questions. We can break this up. Dr. Echo 3007. Okay, number 1. How long was Lola in the Florian Triangle? She fled from the arranged marriage with Loki, so it's possible his rampage of 6 years ago is connected in the same way. So let's start with that one, because I actually did talk about the Lola Loki's, like how long ago the whole marriage situation happened, but go right ahead. Yeah.
So Lola was stuck on Thriller Bark for 3 years. And so that was 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of makes sense that she probably ran away from the whole Loki thing over 6 years ago.
She's 26 now, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, let's put it this way. 5 years ago, she already arrived at Thriller Bark.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense that she was probably sailing for like a year or 2.
Yeah, about
So
that.
it is possible that the whole marriage thing obviously had to be over 6 years ago, but it could have been exactly 6 years ago, and those events are all connected. Or maybe
Absolutely.
it was like 7, 8 years ago.
Yeah, so that's the whole thing we were having a conversation about because, Loki's a giant. He's like 63 years old, but Lola is only 26. So, like, if we're going to use Pudding as an example, she was 16 when Big Mom was about to, like, do the arranged marriage thing with
Yeah,
Sanji. So let's just say 16 is, like, that arranged marriage shit.
yeah,
So that 10 years ago is as far back as this could have been, but you want to coincide it with
yeah,
the 6 years that he was chained up because he can't,
yeah.
it wouldn't have happened
Well, and
afterwards.
and
Yeah,
here's
yeah,
the thing:
yeah.
how many years would Lola have been just sailing around? Because
Quite
she
a
did
bit. She
basically
had a
sail.
crew. She had a crew. Yeah.
True, true, but I kind of wonder because I feel like she was basically. I mean, she did go to Fishman Island and then Thriller Bark. She
Hmm.
was kind of sailing in the opposite direction. So I kind of wonder how much time did she spend in the New World, or was it just like a year, and in a year she was already at like Thriller Bark,
Yeah.
or
I mean,
maybe she spent like 3 years sailing and stuff. We don't know,
it was
but we'll
some
probably get a
time that
date.
she was spent there. By the way, side note with her crew, I love that the Risky Brothers don't have names. It's just Risky Brother
Yeah,
number 1 and 2. I'm like, they don't
that
have names,
frustrates me.
and I was like, yeah, me too. It pisses me off. Yeah, come on.
I'm like, Oda, please, SBS now.
But happy that Lola finally got married. She got married
Yeah,
to Gotti,
congrats to
and
her.
yes, congratulations to her. I'm
Happy
going to a
for
wedding.
her.
My friends are getting married tomorrow, so I'm going to a wedding tomorrow.
Nice.
So it's gonna be a fun time. Do you want to go second part of this or bounce back to you?
Go second one of this. How
Okay.
many questions do you have left?
I
Can I
mean, like
please?
we're only gonna go for like we're getting down into like about the 2 hour mark here, so I'll
Right,
maybe like a couple more and then we'll see. So,
right.
okay, number two. Was there any sun god iconography in Alabasta? The Egyptian god of Ra or like Amun Ra might have been more actively used, but I recall they mentioned stuff about the deities of Alabasta or at least the demigods of spiritual guardians.
I mean, there's the symbol of the sun
Mm-hmm.
on the flag of Alabasta, and that has like 8 dots, which is literally just like the ancient kingdom symbol.
Kuma's paw
Uh,
too, kind of thing. So
yeah.
it's like,
In One Piece Odyssey, they even just straight up mention this, and it's like, oh, it's like that sun flag, isn't it similar to kind of like the that symbol, that
yeah.
little symbol of yours and stuff? So I was definitely connected. Aside from that, there's like some sun symbology in like the tombs and stuff, but that's basically it. I feel.
I have to look something up right now, actually, because we recently saw Cobra's funeral, and that was really
Yeah.
cool. Oh, here's the image right here. It's right on the wiki.
Yeah, I mean that
So,
was in the same tomb where the poneglyph is.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I just wanted to take a look at it, so it was interesting. So we have a symbol of a jackal. We have a symbol of like
Yeah.
Horus and Anubis, basically the kind of deal there. And it's at Pell and Chaka are sitting opposites underneath their respective guardian, which is pretty cool. And then we have like the Tomoe pattern, like the Eneru Tomoe pattern that he had also above
Yeah.
Cobra and in the tomb, which is indicative more of Japanese iconography, not Egyptian. So that's fascinating.
It's
Yeah.
1121, I think, right? Let me
Yeah,
check.
this one is from the wiki. I'm just looking at the image now, but it's from
Okay.
chapter 1116.
Oh, 1116, I'm
Yeah,
thinking of like a different moment, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
But
Right, yeah, yeah.
yeah, but yeah. I mean, like, yeah, there's references to it there. Like maybe in the side you can notice that, and then like the Horus thing. Okay. So your question. Go ahead.
Silly question, but I actually kind of do like this because I think this is something that you would know about as well. If Vegapunk is the one that discovered the possibility of making objects eat Del fruits, how did this knowledge come to an isolationist nation like the Wano country for Bumbuku to end up eating a fruit from Almanac?
I saw that on the I think that was from your like Twitter. Somebody like
Yeah,
posted that. Yeah, that was really funny. Okay, so Boombuku, who is the Tanuki zone, just the
yeah,
regular Tanuki zone, not mythical or anything from one of
yeah,
the games. I think there is a mythical Tanuki from the games.
yeah.
Um, but
More
so clearly
than the
they
goat.
wouldn't have gotten this information because this is just out in the village of Amagasa too. This is not like
Yeah.
Orochi's pet or something, which would have kind of made sense. But no, so that must mean that either there's multiple methods to get an object to eat a devil
Mm,
fruit, or whatever method Vegapunk figured out, somebody else figured
yeah.
out. And that does make sense because, like, there's examples of, like, scientific discoveries that might take years to develop in a lab. Other people might have been able to figure that out, like, on their own. Like, this is how it works. Like, maybe extract the fruit into, like, a sort of, like, resin or something, and then, like, coat an object or something with it. Maybe that's what they used on the pot to, like, finish it or something. And boom, it turns into a tanuki. And it's like, whoa, okay, that's weird, but all right. Yeah, that's the best way I figured it out. Like they just figured it out by accident or discovered it by accident.
What I was thinking is that they probably, like my headcanon is that Sukiyaki took the fruit and put it in the
Or
pot
they
to
cooked it.
boil it,
That probably makes more
cook it,
sense. That probably makes more
and then
sense.
like somehow fused it, and he accidentally replicated the method
Hmm.
to actually connect the fruits, and that's how it happened by accident.
Yeah.
That's on my headcanon at the
Because
moment.
devil fruits are rare in the sense that, like, in the East Blue, they're like basically mythical. Like, not a lot of people
Yeah.
have them. So there's a few in Wano, and so like you pick a fruit one day, and it's like, oh, this is a weird looking fruit. I'm just gonna put it in a pot, and it's like, oh, this happened, right? That probably like a million to one shot this would happen accidentally, but it's bound to happen somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically that.
But I like that. I
Bounce
completely
back to
missed,
you.
by the way, that Tenuki was even there the first time I read that chapter. People had to
Yeah.
point it out later, like, oh yeah, it's a pot devil fruit. I mean, a pot. That's the Tanuki devil fruit. That's interesting.
Standing on his balls.
Yeah, and standing on his balls, as Tanukis tend to do. Tanukis have very
Yeah.
large balls. Is
Yeah.
Japanese mythology is great. All right, what do we got here? Ooh, this is a big one. Keegan 9637. Okay. I've been rewatching because I got a friend to start watching One Piece, and one of his questions was, how much actual seawater or salt water is needed to make a devil fruit user become weakened? If you pour table salt into a glass of normal water, would it make a devil fruit weaker? Do they have to dive into it? I couldn't figure out the exact value. So I put this one in here because this is, I think, the question that's going to plague me for the rest of my existence, as well
Yeah.
as like anybody on
A
One Piece.
100%.
It isn't seawater only.
Or
It's
it's
any
all
liquid.
water.
It's any liquid.
H2O.
It's any liquid. Yeah, and it's like there's liquid inside of things like, so I always use the example like milk or soda would work too, because that there is water in there. Do you think that would work?
I do wonder, like, specifically the thing that Oda said in the SBS, it's all kinds of water.
Yes.
And it depends on the level of exposure. Rain isn't an issue. Showers generally aren't an issue. But we see, like,
moving water is
bats.
not an issue. Yeah.
No. Usually the issue it starts to appear when it comes to a bath. Like, maybe half of your body. Like, we've seen characters thinking about that, like, ugh, they're kind of like tired, right? Like in Film Z when they're at, like, the onsen.
Yes,
they're,
the
like, really
onsen in the
tired.
Film Z is probably the biggest one. Yeah.
And then it's like when you're fully covered, you become completely paralyzed and stuff like that. But it kind of depends on, or at least close to fully covered, it depends on how much is touching your skin that leads to paralysis.
Now, the only thing that bugs me, and it bugs me a lot, is that, okay, Luffy, if he was covered about into his waist, he would start to feel like, oh, this is like when they were in the cage at Alabasta. You're like, oh, this is draining me. Khalifa was taking a bath at Eni's lobby, and when Nami walked in, she was in a bathtub, and she seemed completely fine. Like, she didn't seem like she was exhausted or being drained. But then again, she's really strong, and she's an agent, so maybe she's strong enough to, like, oh, this kind of hurts now, but this kind of exhausts me, but I can push through that, whatever.
I think that she just, like, she was feeling weak. But here's the thing. Luffy's the guy who's weak, is like, and when she's like, I'm tired, but it's like I'm just chilling here.
Yeah, we've all
and
had
even,
moments
like,
where we're tired and we push through the day. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Even Nami kind of says is like, wow, you're willing to be vulnerable like this, but she's like so cocky. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna be fine. I do remember a really like goofy moment in Film Red where they splash Luffy with a bucket of water and he starts getting weak and I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, oh god,
so scientific.
That made me mad in the movie theater. That made me mad.
Same.
I don't remember if I mentioned it when I did the review of the movie, but I remember seeing that in the movie like, no, this is gonna make
That's not how science works.
Problems. People are gonna be, and nobody really did. Not a lot of people did, but I was so worried at that point. I'm gonna get so many comments that are like, see, he got splashed with water and he got weak. I'm like,
one bucket is all it takes.
Because that's like the 4Kids dub did this so funny when the guns are switched out with squirt guns like super soakers, and it's like, well, it makes sense if they're devil fruit users. I'm like, no.
Imagine the Battle of Onigashima. They just throw a bucket on the side and he's just like, ugh.
Killer and Kid and Law just roll up to Kaido with giant super soakers and like a hose. Like, you're going down, Kaido.
Yeah. Well, we've even seen like Big Mom like getting drenched by Jinbei on the Sunny.
Yeah,
if you remember.
And
she looks pissed, but it's not. She's like,
yeah, no, it's like you start to get to a point like, okay, Jack gets knocked into the bottom of the ocean. He can breathe because he's a fishman, but he doesn't look that tired. He just kind of looks pissed and annoyed that it's like, come on, someone pull me out already,
It's not just like necessarily just sourness, it's more like a paralysis, like a
Yeah,
sapping of strength.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm sure there's like a scientific reason, and then there's like a lore reason on top of the scientific reason.
Yeah, and it's like if Luffy. So when Luffy got knocked into the pool at Arlong Park, he lost
Yeah.
consciousness from that. He was pretty weak. I mean, he was not as strong as he is now. Now when he
He
got
probably,
knocked,
yeah, he probably like just lost oxygen and fainted as
yeah.
well.
Now he got knocked into the ocean here at Onigashima, but also that was when Kaido knocked him
Yeah.
out and he fell into the water. If Luffy just fell off the Sunny into the water, I don't know if he would respond the exact same way. Maybe he would, maybe he wouldn't. But like he's a little bit stronger now, so who knows? Yeah.
Mm.
Another part of this is we have the Sea Prism Stone Cuts, which touch only wrists, but they wipe out the powers and strength. So that's a condensed form of the ocean. That's like negative
That's
energy for the Devil Fruit users when they
contact
touch
with
that
it, yeah,
shit.
that
Yeah.
is like super condensed, yeah.
Yeah. Which still pisses me off. They didn't take, like, Frankie didn't grab a bunch of Sea Prism weapons as they left Wano. Because they had
Yeah,
Sea
true,
Prism
true.
bullets. Armadillo Man was stated to use the Sea Prism bullets, correct?
Yeah, I mean,
So,
Cyperism was developed and crafted in Wano,
yeah.
which makes
So,
sense
yeah.
because it has a volcano, which volcanoes have Paraballoon in it.
Yeah. So, I made a whole video about that. You go check it out.
Mm.
All right. Go ahead, back to you. And I think we're probably we're coming up on about 2 hours now. So I'm taking one more question from you, one more question from me. This was a lot of fun, guys. A lot of questions. We got like over 300 questions from this. We could definitely do another part of this at some point in
Yeah.
your game, Artur, because this was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I want to.
It was a lot
Yeah.
of fun. Okay. Go ahead.
Can I like do like a couple of really like rapid fire questions?
go ahead.
And we do like a fun
Lightning round. Let's go.
Yeah. There's one which is like I do find very interesting from Frostfire Tiger, which is is there an Oni or ogre race? I know some of the beast parts have the Cardi horns, but not everybody does, and there's others like Magellan. What do you think?
I'm under the contention that, yeah, there has to be some kind of Oni race. And Kaido is like descended from that particular. I mean, it could be eventually the ancient giants over the generations as well. Same thing with Whitebeard. Why there's some humans that are like several meters tall that are like ridiculous. I think Oda is going to clarify exactly how that happens. It skips generations. Like Big Mom's parents were normal sized, and she grew really big, and so it's like maybe she had giant DNA way back in her ancestry or something like that, which would be great for her references to Elbaf and like the story there and everything like that. But yeah, I mean, like, we know the horns that I think Magellan's horns can be removed, can't they? Because he takes them off at some point and uses them as an attack.
Yeah.
But Yamato and Kaido and the Tobi Roppo, their horns are real horns.
Yeah. I mean, Sasaki's a fishman, for example.
Yeah. So the case here, but like Black
Utsu
Maria,
maybe is a helmet and stuff, but then Black Maria or Ulti, like those two seem to actually be like real and stuff.
They're real horns.
And Black Maria is also like a Wano native.
Yes,
so.
yes.
I feel torn about it because Kaido does say this line where it's like, you're like the child of Oni, you should behave like one. But to me, like, that's a line that sounds more almost kind of, I don't want to say like metaphorical, but like, like more like, you know what I mean, right?
I get what you mean, but it also sounds like something Kaido would say just to be a dick, but also like, we are descended from like the strongest of giants. You will behave, like I could see that.
My problem is that I feel like Oda would have acknowledged it in some point. Like the Vivacars make no mention of it on either like Kaido or Yamato.
Well, it could just be something he doesn't want to reveal yet. So it's like, I want to keep
True. Yeah, it could be. So I feel torn about it, and I can't quite come to a conclusive answer. My safest answer would be that until more evidence, I'm on the side of no, but I can't say for sure.
All I'm going to say, and without getting too explicit about it, because it is YouTube, there is a mechanism for like really big characters to have children with significantly smaller, more like average sized characters. Right. And that mechanism exists. So maybe like ancient giants have descendants that are like half ancient giant, half human or something like that. I don't know how this would work, but it's One Piece, Big Mom has a child. Big Mom has a child that's a Tontata.
Yeah, with a
Tontata.
Yeah, exactly.
So like, I guess. But anyway, that's how it is. Another lightning round question.
Yeah, for me.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, just go ahead with yours. Yeah.
Yeah, there was like this one. It's like we're not gonna answer it, but I have to mention it.
Okay.
Because I find it wonderful that someone asked this. It's like from Mr. Anjang. Can you do discussion about what all 85 of Big Mom's children's real jobs would be if they lived in our world?
That sounds like a
All
fun
85.
stream video. I have this like
Yeah,
9-hour
exactly.
charity stream coming up, so that's something maybe we
Yeah,
could do. You
yeah.
know what?
Like I would be down for this because I'm like yeah, like Katakuri would have a bakery, and then Perospero would just be a drug lord. There's no
Yeah,
way to
yeah,
kill him.
yeah. But he has a candy shop that's the front operation, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And then he's like
exactly.
he's
And
selling
then he sells
cocaine
like
in the
the
back.
real
Yeah,
candy.
yeah,
The
he's like
real
crystal
candy is
meth
like
in the back. That's like
yeah, exactly. Do you want some of my candy, Perorin?
I will take this opportunity to
Yeah.
mention my favorite member of Charlotte of the
Mm,
Charlotte family. Not okay. He's not my favorite, but I always have to pick
right.
the one that stands out from everybody, and that's You know who I'm talking about. You know who
Yeah,
it
of course, I
is.
know all of them.
Yeah. Guess which
Oh,
one I'm gonna mention? The lost child.
the Lost
Not
Child.
lost child actually, but
I
in a
feel like I feel like this is one of the inside jokes of your channel that I'm
no,
like
it isn't. It's just
probably.
I actually haven't mentioned him that much, but I was always
Mm.
fascinated about this guy, and it's Gala.
Oh, right, Charlotte Gala,
Because
right.
Charlotte Gala is one of the quintuplets of opera,
Yeah,
but he's the only
yeah,
dude that never shows up in the anime, and it's only in the
yeah,
manga, and it's just sketch art of
yeah,
exists of him, and that's
yeah,
it. And he would
yeah.
plan various galas. Yeah.
We also have Charlotte Melizé and Charlotte Haché, which we barely see in the manga, but they're only
But
like
they're still
very,
there.
very tiny drawings. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
still there. Gala's
Gallo
just the
was
one
like
that's
Gala
just
saw
not
all of
there.
his brothers get the shit kicked out of them, and he's like, I'm not dealing
Uh,
with this. I'm not messing with that guy. And he's just he's not there. Yeah.
Chronicling the Charlotte family was like one of the most fun things of like the whole Kikalan arc. Because it's like, oh, there's like a new one.
I have so much respect for Oda because it's like,
Yeah,
it's the same thing
my
with
guy. Yeah.
Togashi and Hunter x Hunter. It's like, hey, I have this family of 85 children. Oda probably could have just designed like 20 of them, and that probably would have been good enough. He's like, I don't have to show all 85. Nope, designs for all 85. Also, all of the islands, designs for all the islands, or at least concepts and names for
Yeah.
all the islands. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. He's a
Dude, like
completionist,
all
and I
the
love it.
Totalan Islands was
Yeah.
such a like an annoying thing to do for like the map because I
Yeah.
actually have to put all of
'Cause
them.
it's an archipelago. It's all jammed
Yeah,
together like that.
yeah,
And it's just like, and there's a jam island too. So it's like, what are you going to do?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Jam Jam. A
Yeah.
party trick for me is like naming all the Charlotte family children.
Yeah.
But I literally only like memorized it for the sake of like doing a party trick,
I could
which is
never.
like the
Yeah.
dumbest thing.
Yeah. The most nerdy thing I've ever done with that is there's a keto incantation in Bleach that's like wicked long. It's like a
Mm.
paragraph, and I memorized that whole thing for something, and I can't remember it now.
Do you
But
know what the Jugemu is in Japanese? Like the
uh
super long name?
oh yeah, no, so it's like that's a Rakugo thing. Yeah, but I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't know what it is in Japanese. No, I couldn't do it.
yeah,
Like
it's
yeah, I can't do it.
uh, I mean, if I'm allowed to
Go,
flex,
of course,
Jugemu
go.
Jugemu
No, if you could do that shit, go ahead, do it, man.
Jugemu Jugemu konosuru kirekazi no sugematsu no rematsu rematsu konoto konosumo to koro yabara kozi nabara kozi pipe 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 no shungan no shuningan no gurindai no pomkuni no chokumi no chosuke.
That's fucking cool. I wish I could do that. I think
It's
I have the diction to talk that fast. I just need to practice as hell. Yeah.
it's something that like you use it to like study Japanese because in
Hmm.
Japanese you need to speak fast, and it's so to learn how to like use Japanese syllables like really quickly.
That's so cool, man. That's so awesome that you could do that. Yeah. I first was exposed to that in Full Metal Alchemist. They use it as a joke there.
Yeah,
Yeah, because there's a character who's like, what's his real name? It would be like if
yeah, I've seen the
Eames' real name was that or something. Like that would be
I
funny.
imagine, yeah.
Uh,
There actually is canonically a Jugemu Jugemu in the world of One Piece.
like a One Piece
In the
version
latest
of it. Okay.
In the latest River cards, it was revealed that you know the two children that see the numbers at Hakumai right before
Oh yeah, 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 yeah,
Mishima.
yeah.
Like those two children look up. The girl is called Juguma Jukumu, and like the boy is called Chokumi no Chosuke.
That's awesome. Okay, so that's just a reference
Yeah,
directly from that. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. But that's so cool, dude. So yeah, I gotta practice that absolutely. When I was doing that
uh,
stream yesterday, I was talking really fast, and I was talking like, "Hey, do you think I could be an auctioneer?
yeah.
$3, $3,
Go for one, go
$5,
for twice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think
Yeah.
it was like, yeah, you probably could if you practiced a little bit. And I'm like, yeah,
See, here's the
yeah.
thing: when you start studying Japanese, you need to learn how to speak very, very quickly.
I have no problem with that. That part's already set.
Right.
It's not
Exactly.
messing up when I say something. Yeah.
But like people started to tell me that I speak like a lot more quickly, like after I started studying Japanese, because it's just you need to practice that for that language.
Yeah, there was the alphabet aerobics by Rapalicious, like Daniel Radcliffe
Mm.
did this on American
Right.
television once, and I could do that like competently at some point, and it's like I can't do it
Mhm.
now, but I'd have to go back. But
I just
I love
fumble
those
the words as a
those
problem.
tongue twisters and stuff. They're so much fun.
Mm.
Okay, any other ones on your end?
I do have one final
Go
question,
for it.
which I say the most important one for last, which is this is a logistic question. Does Jinbei use the same toilet as the other Straw Hats, or did they have to install a bigger one on the Sunny after he joined?
Um, this is, I mean, okay. So I would say yes, it is the latter, but Frankie could do that in like less than 10 minutes. So it would be
True.
probably no issue whatsoever. Like
He
Jinbei's
built a bridge in
there.
1 minute.
Jinbei's hanging out. He literally built a
Yeah.
bridge by the time the Straw Hats just
Yeah.
glanced away.
That's
So
so
it's like,
stupid. I love it.
yeah. So I could see this going down, right? Jinbei's on the ship after Wano. They're sailing away. They've had this adventure. They defeated Kaido. They're going to Egghead. Jinbei's like, well, I gotta go relieve myself. You know, Frankie, watch the helm while I go do this or whatever. He goes to do that, and he doesn't say anything because he's too polite. But it's like, oh, this is gonna
Yeah.
be a problem. This is
Oh,
gonna be an issue.
yeah.
And then they find out, and then Frankie's like, "Oh shit, man! You should have told me earlier. Hold on, I could. There you go. You're set. You know, just like it probably was like just like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, but
Go
there
ahead.
is 3 layers to this question. The
Oh,
second one
multiple
is
layers. Yeah.
if giants poop, does Marineford have giant toilets for their giant squad? And what of Onigashima with the
They
numbers?
have to. They just like logistically have to,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
literally.
I don't
Bro,
see Black
I don't even
Maria.
want to
Black Maria's not
imagine.
gonna poop in the
Yeah,
ocean. That's just she's
yeah,
dignified. You know, like yeah.
yeah. I don't even want to imagine the stank coming out of those
Yeah.
toilets.
Hey, they have one of the best carpenters building the mansions, so the
True,
internal plumbing,
true.
the plumbing's got to be good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hope.
This is the thing, like where Oda would be asked this in an SBS and would say, like, yeah, there's like this guy at Marine headquarters who builds the plumbing. His name is Pupimus Maximus or something
Yeah,
like that.
Poopy Maximus, he's the one that plans out all of
Yeah,
the internal. It's a
yeah,
mess, dude. It's just like the logistics
yeah,
of this and like the
yeah.
plumbing and
The giant pipes,
the
yeah,
pipes, and it's just like where does this empty out at, and the recycling facility. Like this is gonna be
yeah,
a mess. But
yeah.
I love the poop questions.
And then the third layer to this question, how does Lucky poop?
I'm surprised Luffy didn't ask Loki immediately
Yeah.
upon
I've
arriving.
got that
Yeah,
question. I got so many
I've
comments
gotten
of
it too.
this.
I've
You
gotten it
know,
too.
all
And
videos, yeah.
the only answer I could conceive of this is wherever Loki is sitting, there has to be
Oh,
a gap in the roots maybe, and it just falls down
oh my
there,
god.
and then the Needhog that's chewing on the roots maybe it's just covered
Yeah,
in
like
shit.
he just has like a hole in his pants just to be able to do it.
I mean, you know, like you would say, it's just like you're not supposed to think about that. He's chained up to a
Yeah.
tree for 6 years,
Either
but
that
like
or Oda's gonna either that or Oda's gonna be like he's so strong he's been constipated for 6 years.
that's gonna be rough. Oh, that's why he wants to get out of there. He's like, come on, man,
Yeah.
I haven't done. Oh, I'm so backed up, you know.
Or legit question, what if this is actually canon? What if Loki's fruit
Yes,
allows him in some way to not
yeah,
eat?
and it allows him to
Yeah.
just not. He won't die. Like
Yeah.
even if he's
Like
like
Ryukugyu or something
even
different. Yeah.
under the limitations of the sea stone, he still is strong enough to like shout really loud, and his fruit's still powerful enough to like
Yeah.
not allow him to die. That would probably be the
Yeah.
most logistical answer to this.
Yeah.
That doesn't
If it's a
involve
passive
piss and shit everywhere. Yeah,
if it's a passive ability, like it's possible that the Kairoseki don't stop like the passive effect of
yeah,
it.
exactly. Yeah.
Mhm.
So that probably makes the most sense. And when we find out, I kind of hope it's not a mythical zone, but it seems to. I mean, like
Yeah.
everything's a mythical zone.
That's the final
No,
poop
it isn't.
question
That's
on
just
my
my
sheet.
question to you. That I have the final question after this.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Wait, sorry?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I asked like, okay, let me redo it. Okay. So what
Oh,
do
like
you?
if it's a mythical, right?
No, no, yeah. So like, so what do you think about like it is a mythical zone, or do you think it's a Logia? Like, what type do you think it is?
It's kind of tortures me because the last time we got like the ambiguity of like a fruit was the whole naked thing, so I feel like it has to be like
Yeah,
important.
it has to be a mythical, maybe. Yeah, yeah.
I've been asked this a lot actually, like even on different like podcasts and stuff, but it's like I feel that him saying he's the sun god has to do something with it, because I
Yes.
feel like it's a position, but he's been very adamant that like I'm the sun god. So I wonder if there's like a different interpretation of Nika that led to like a different like mythological, if there is like a different kind of like sun god even entirely that like is different to Nika that I don't
I
really
was
know about.
thinking like it's possible like so Luffy's the actual mythical sun god that brings joy and hope
Yeah.
and freedom and everything.
And then there's of course the gum, the original
The
gum
gum gum,
flute that
but then
everyone.
also it just could be like Loki's power is like nuclear fusion, like he can get really hot and like destroy things just by walking around, and it's like nuclear
Right.
fusion. He would be able to survive for a long time if that's how his
The
body runs
nuke
off.
fruit.
Yeah, basically yes, but they wouldn't call it the nuclear fruit because they don't have that
Right.
term. They would call it like I don't know what they would call it, like I don't know,
Mother flame fruit.
yeah, mother flame, the flame, the
The
eternal
other mother
flame,
fruit. I don't
eternal
know. Yeah.
power, like the plasma fruit. I don't know what they would call it, but like it would be
Mama,
something
mama,
like
no
that.
me.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. So that's some ideas there. But yes, that wasn't the last question. That was just a question from me to you. But
Yeah.
here is the last question, and it's something that
All right.
I've debated a few times on how this goes down, and I want to get one of it might be a translation issue, which I want to get your opinion on. Okay, Sunny Shine P. Who does Magellan take orders from? Are
Mm.
they considered a military organization and put under Kong, or do they get orders directly from the Gorosei? If so, does Magellan have the same world government standing as Kong, and there are others that take orders? So before you answer this, I just want to clarify my addition to this, okay? So
Yes.
the chapter where Doflamingo's in level 6 and he's like, "Oh, you put me in solitary confinement, Magellan. Are you afraid that there's going to be someone to come down and assassinate me?" I'm sitting there like, "Okay, Impel Down, I get doesn't take orders from the Marines. They're separate entities. That's fine." But if the world government wants to send a God's Knight or somebody down to kill Doflamingo, Magellan should have nothing to say about that because he takes orders from them. He should welcome them in with a red carpet and like, you want to kill a prisoner? Well, I'm your subordinate, so I guess here you go. What do you think? Go ahead.
I mean, first of all, Magellan is built different, so I wouldn't
Okay,
even put it past
he is
him
built
for.
different, but he also takes orders from the higher. He is a
Yeah,
guy that takes orders. Okay, yeah.
I feel like him putting in solitary, like definitely in solitary confinement. Maybe it's just trying to make it harder. But then if it comes to it, then he wouldn't be able to stop it.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of who he takes orders from, I do remember that scene at the end of Marineford, after the end of the war, where Sengoku is talking with Branyu,
Mm-hmm.
and he mentions House Magellan, right? And then he gives him an information, and Branyu says it's like I fear that Magellan may feel like so responsible that he may take his own life, and Sengoku tell him to not do that,
Yeah,
right?
don't do that.
Don't
We
let him do
need you. Yeah.
yeah, don't let him do something like as stupid as that. And I feel like that's saying that Magellan probably answers to Sengoku.
Yeah.
That's kind of what's telling me. Like I feel like the fleet admiral probably has some responsibility.
Yeah,
Obviously, generally it's like
the Marines
Impel
like they
Down.
tried to get in and they were like, no,
Yeah.
this is Impel Down business. We're not going to let you in there. But if the fleet
Okay, to
admiral
be fair,
himself gave the order,
yeah.
yeah.
To be fair, that was like Sadi-chan being just Sadi-chan.
Okay, that could just be Sadie. So maybe they're just
Yeah.
not. They just like, no, this is our place. We take orders from no one, even though they kind of do. But
To
they
be
don't.
fair, like I
Yeah.
feel like Impel Down is basically its own organization in a sense.
Yeah,
within the world
it is. I mean,
government,
it has
because
to
it's
be
like,
by the nature of it. Yeah.
I mean, like everything that needs to be taken care of, the warden takes care of.
Yes.
I don't think like really, like a fleet admiral like Sengoku or whatever would only like give orders and get involved if there is like a special international incident or something like big happening with like Impel Down and stuff like that. And at that point, like I mean, we did. When Impel Down, where there was the breakout, all the Marines got information and position. And those were
Yes.
probably like we did actually see during Impel Down that Sengoku got a report about what was
Yes,
happening to
he
Impel
did.
Down.
And there's that whole
And he talks
fleet
about
that's
Shiki and stuff,
surrounding
yeah.
the thing. So yeah, they're
Yeah.
constantly reporting back. So they're two
Yeah.
organizations that work closely with
Yeah,
each other.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, Kong is the world military commander, and then, obviously there's the Gorosei and Imo and stuff like that, but I think generally the paperwork kind of ends up on Sengoku, or now poor Sakazuki stuck to his desk.
Mm-hmm. I think now that you brought up the whole thing earlier with the God's Knights, and I mean not the God's Knights, with the idea that Doflamingo has a kill switch. So let's say they might send one of the God's Knights, but they might be hesitant to do that because like, what if we
Yeah.
kill him and then it gets? I didn't even consider that option. Yeah, so they might not
True.
even send
I mean,
it. They
I
might not
feel
send somebody for that reason. Yeah.
I feel like that with Doflamingo's empire having crumbled, probably that kill switch was lost in some form, but
But
like
maybe
maybe they
not. They can't be 100% sure. That's the
yeah,
thing.
true,
Yeah.
true.
Also, I feel
Well,
like
someone's gonna beat him to the punch
I,
anyways.
I feel like very soon in the One Piece context of the timeline, they're gonna find out what the world government's all about. And if that
Yeah.
ever happens, I feel like Eames just gonna put Mask off and be like, "All right, yeah, turns
All
out
right,
it's
bye. Boom.
turns out it's I'm an immortal dictator." And you
Uh,
can't do anything about it, so here we go. This is what it is now. And also, the Gorosei are
people are
yokai.
gonna
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, people are kind of thinking that about like the Vegapunk transmission. I kind of thought as well, what if like Emo like gets doxxed? I kind of like made the joke. It's
Yeah.
like like Vegapunk is like breaking my silence,
I was
and
waiting
stuff. I
for
do
it in the
wish.
message if he was going to mention Eam, if he, but yeah.
I do wish that like I don't think like Vegapunk would mention him, but I do wish that he had at least like incriminated the world government a bit more. Because I think he kind of did, but I feel like if he did a bit more, it would be nice to just see like counters being like, "What the fuck," and kind of starting to like get more upset and
I,
rebel,
I
which is still like probably what's gonna happen.
I
But
feel like that's Vegapunk's
most of the
own
time,
like nature because he says multiple times in
I
the
know.
message like I don't want to make
Yes,
assumptions,
but he knows
but
Saturn. He knows Saturn. He
he
knows
knows
like Saturn's
Saturn.
just like an
Yes,
evil bastard and stuff
yes.
like that, and he has like completely rebelled against the government. So I still feel like he could have
I
done a
mean,
bit
let's
more,
be
but I still
straight
feel
up
like he
here.
did.
At this point in the story, what's going to happen is there's going to be a massive revolution against the world government. Like that's going
Yeah.
to occur. That's on the
I
train that's
still
going to
I
hit a
st-
mountain.
it's like
Yeah.
Dragon basically says it's like not all people are just gonna sell with this peacefully. They're gonna
No,
fight
God,
back.
no. That's like, yeah. And if Oda does that, then the story's like whole message is just like, oh, we all solved this peacefully. Everything's good. It's like,
Um,
oh no, a lot of people are
Yeah,
gonna die here. They kind of have to in order
and
for this to make
they're
sense.
gonna fight
Yeah.
for the highest places. The highest place is the red line.
Yeah.
It's Marija.
Yeah. So Vegapunk kind of indirectly pushed them. Now there's gonna be people kind of like Nojiko that are just like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm not gonna, I'm here on my Tangerine Grove. I'm here
Yeah.
doing this. I remember when people in that
Yeah.
chapter were like,
Luffy will
maybe
handle it.
what is she doing? What is Nojiko gonna do? She went off somewhere. I'm like, no, she's just a normal civilian.
Yeah.
She just wants to be with
Yeah.
her tangerines and the rides
You know what?
rebellion. You know
You know what amazing parallel I think that is.
what?
Remember when Nojiko tells Luffy Nami's backstory and Luffy's like, "Now I'll go take a walk." But like Nojiko kind of like almost kind of took that. It's like this doesn't regard me. I'm fine. I feel like it is a
Okay.
bit of a parallel
Yeah,
there.
yeah. I don't think it's anything special for her. It's just that, like, I mean, like,
Yeah.
imagine if tomorrow you find out some crazy information about the world that is so outside of your. Like, turns out aliens this whole time have been commanding us since the time of the
Yeah.
Romans. It's like, okay, what am I? We're in the Matrix. It's like, what am I supposed to do with that information? You know what I mean?
I'll
Like,
go back
yeah.
to the Tangerine Grove.
Yeah, I'm just gonna still here make YouTube videos. Hey guys, turns out
Yeah.
we're in the Matrix. I'm staying here.
Yeah.
I don't want to go fight the robots.
Wait,
Like,
One Piece still exists in the Matrix,
yeah,
right?
One Piece
so
is
I'll
here in the
stay here.
Matrix, so we're good.
Oh, give me the pill. Yeah.
I would definitely take the blue one. I wouldn't. It's like, oh no,
Yeah.
thank you. Yes. Anyway, so that's we've been going for about 2 hours. I need to edit this, and then
Yeah.
tomorrow I'm gonna be at a wedding, so I
Yeah.
have to get this up beforehand. So I would love to keep going, but I have to cut this off
man.
at a certain point. Thank you, Artur, for joining me.
Thank you for finally like letting us do this. Like, we need to do this again and like sooner.
Oh, we absolutely need to do this again. Well, we still have all these questions that I didn't even get through all of the ones I picked today, and there's over like I said, there was hundreds that were selected from. So we'll definitely do this again soon, make this every couple of months. We just tackle a bunch of questions, and we'll see how everybody responds to this and everything. Thanks to everybody that sent in the questions through the posts and through Artur's Twitter and all that. His links, Library of Ohara, and Twitter and YouTube channel. That's all found in the description below. Do you have anything else you would like to add here at the end as like an outro type deal?
People probably know where to find me. I am releasing a very, very big map, hopefully in like a couple of months or something. So that's gonna be like something really, really cool.
The
'Cause it's gonna
ultimate
be
map.
an interactive Google Maps like map thingy. So it's gonna be.
That's so cool. I would even know where to begin to start with that. It's like how I don't know how to.
I've been working years on this thing. It's been
But whenever
a bit too long, and I was going.
whenever you drop a brand new thing like the calendar or the map or the plushie, it's always a big deal. So
Yeah. Thank you so much for playing the plushie.
Yeah,
It
no, the
makes me
plushie.
happy
Oh,
seeing you there.
absolutely. It's geography, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'm making like plushies of bricks as vampires and whatever. You're
Yeah.
making actual One Piece worlds, blue stars right here. So this is cool.
Yeah, and that was obviously like part of the map project. But I was like, you know what? I can use like all this data to like do like
Just make a
a
plushie.
plushie.
Yeah, and I love the
Yeah.
quality of how it turned out. It's really intricate.
Yeah.
You can tell where the islands are and stuff. It's so cool. Skypiea is so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I remember they basically straight up told me this is the hardest plushie we've ever had to do, and I was like, sorry.
That sounds like perfect
Yeah,
opposite.
because other people were doing like, yeah, a bear, like, or my mascot. I'm like, yeah, I want like a canonically accurate plan with like all the details and stuff, and they were up to the challenge. Obviously,
Perfect
but...
opposite of this is the
Yes.
way the brick worked. Because when I told them about this over at Spring, they were like, okay, a brick, yeah, this is as easy as hell. We can knock this out in like whatever. And they had a prototype for me in like a day, and it sold way better than they expected. Like, how? It's the simplest thing ever. So it's the exact polar opposite of how this goes.
I mean,
yeah.
they were obviously fantastic, but like I
Yeah.
struggle to like explain to them how the red line goes as a ring, like
Yeah,
like
it's
trying
hard
to like
to-
explain it. Yeah.
It's hard whenever you're
visualize
laying it
into
out.
the-
Like one of the first big videos I've ever done on YouTube was a map of the One Piece world, and I just made it simply like in Paint or whatever. But trying to
Right.
convey it on a flat plane that the red line
Yeah.
goes all the way, so it's like on both sides and then down the center to make it
Yeah.
make sense, and it's so hard. Yeah.
Yeah, I do kind of word it like in my map if it will be clear enough, but
Yeah.
well, the space map should help.
The space map will be better. It's Google Earth of the One Piece world. It'll be better.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for joining me, Artur. Everybody, you have a great night. Signing out.